and destruction.
Border Czar Tom Homan has been dispatched to Minnesota to meet with state and local officials today. Meanwhile, Gregory Vivino, the ICE agent in charge of Minneapolis, has been transferred out of the state. And Fox News contributor Guy Benson tells us what that might mean.
Well, it seems like a demotion at the very least, and my guess is President Trump, and there were some sources whispering about this over the weekend, he was watching how everything went down in this terrible, deadly incident, the response, the statements that were made by high-ranking officials, and the backlash against the untruthfulness of some of those statements, or at least the debatable nature of what they were saying. And he said, enough of this. This is, among other things, a political and PR battle, and a way to lose it is to not have credibility with the public.
The Minneapolis area church that was stormed by anti-ICE agitators may pursue legal action. City's Church lead pastor Jonathan Parnell says it was very unsettling, and people, including children, feared for their lives.
It was a shameful moment. It's not the way.
Attorney Renee Carlson with Truth North Legal said people should be prosecuted, but state officials have done nothing.
We have a state attorney general who has been completely hostile in this situation, who is siding with agitators. And not only that, is mocking the church. There is absolutely no constitutional right, no First Amendment right to invade a church.
Pastor Parnell also had a message for journalist Don Lemon and others that have supported the agitators.
One thing I think that we have in common with at least some of the people who came into our building is that we're heartbroken over what's happening in our cities right now. There's a lot of pain in our cities, and we need healing. We're asking for God to send healing, and we believe that healing comes ultimately in Jesus Christ. And so what we preach is that God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. And so my message to those agitators, my message to the governor of our state, to the state attorney general, my message to both mayors of our cities is to turn from your sin, trust in Jesus Christ, and be saved. He is our only hope.
A local government in Maryland has stopped a practice of opening its meetings with the Lord's Prayer. The Wicomico County Council said it was threatened with a lawsuit from the Freedom from Religion Foundation.
Neither I nor the council are happy with this set of circumstances before us, and we are not a council that shies away from a challenge simply because litigation is threatened. But when legal counsel is clear about the probable outcome, when the financial risk to our citizens is so substantial, we have a responsibility to weigh fiscal stewardship against our desire to preserve a tradition we've honored for so many years.
David Cortman is an attorney with Alliance Defending Freedom, and talking about this on Washington Watch, Cortman said this felt like a blast from the past.
These issues have been litigated over a decade ago. They've been settled by the Supreme Court over a decade ago. In fact, it's been 4 decades since the original case came up to the Supreme Court on legislative prayer. And basically, the court ruled that you can have legislative prayer. People talk about the Establishment Clause, the so-called separation of church and state. And what the Supreme Court said, you have to look at the history and tradition of our country. And these type of legislative prayers have been ongoing since literally the First Amendment was passed and Congress adopted, in fact, hired a chaplain to engage in legislative prayers at the very beginning of our country. And so they're permissible now.
More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty P.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, the tours we've got planned in 2026 are going to be fantastic. They're historical, spiritual, heritage tours. For the information all about them, the D.C., the Williamsburg, the Boston tours, go to wildmongroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we hope to see you on one of our 2026 spiritual heritage tours.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues for this Tuesday, January the 27th, 2026. Thanks for listening to American Family Radio. We're in studio here in Tupelo, MS, and joining me is Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
Wesley Wildman.
Good morning.
And Fred Jackson.
Good morning to you.
All right, so Fred.
Sir.
I'll say it again. Good morning to you.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. Your microphone wasn't turned off.
It was frozen.
Yeah, I was going to say his teeth were
So
chattering.
the microphone was frozen. Okay, so we weren't able to be live on the air yesterday here for this program because the weather effects of the weekend.
I hope people were able to tell the difference when we're live and when we're not.
Yeah, we were Memorex yesterday. Wesley wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
No,
Are you
no
live or are
clue.
you Memorex? Remember that commercial?
I do. Ella Fitzgerald.
Ella Fitzgerald. We weren't able to be on the air live yesterday because some of our staff didn't have power. A lot of our staff didn't have power because of the ice storm that hit our area, and then some of the roads were bad. Anyway, we closed our offices and studios yesterday, and we're still closed today. But some of us were able to come in and be here for this radio show. It's very important what we're going to be talking about today. A lot going on in the news. But, Fred, right now, a big story is the weather.
No question about it. We still, across the country, at least 500,000 people without power. And in our home state here, Mississippi is one of the worst. As of about an hour ago, 130,000 people in this state alone without power. And a city just to our west here, Oxford, home of Ole Miss, one of the worst hit in the country. Talking to people from there, watching some of the reports on Fox this morning from Oxford, it looks like a war zone. That's the best way to describe it. The governor of the state, Tate Reeves, was interviewed just a couple of hours ago on Fox and Friends, and he kind of gives an update on the situation in this state. Cut number 3.
Well, we have deployed the Mississippi National Guard. They do a lot of things really well. We are ensuring that they're going to be involved in the logistics play here, because what we're going to be looking at is we hopefully get a lot of those 140,000 customers that currently do not have power. We're hoping to get a good percentage of them back on today or tomorrow. We're down from a peak of 180,000, which is the number where a couple of days ago where we peaked. But we also know that we've got to get things like generators into water pumping stations in rural parts of our state, rural water associations, to ensure that we can keep the water pumping into homes, because we not only have electricity challenges, we have water challenges as well in certain areas of our state. And so the Guard's going to be very intricately involved in logistics and moving supplies into and around the area, getting food, MREs, cots into our warming centers. We have 67 warming centers open throughout the state in 35 different counties of Mississippi. Again, this is a storm that is very large and is affecting a large percentage of our state.
So Governor, what percentage of your lines are buried?
A very small percentage of our lines are buried in Mississippi, and that creates challenges, of course, when you have tornadoes, when you have hurricanes, and it certainly creates challenges when the right-of-ways are not cleaned adequately, and you have ice, and now you have limbs falling on above-ground power lines.
So there you have it. That's the governor of the state, Tate Reeves. Mentioned Oxford, Mississippi, home of Ole Miss. I understand the classes will not resume until sometime next week at Ole Miss. And also Christian College, very close to us, there, Blue Mountain, that area of the state, which is to kind of our northwest here, very badly hit.
Well, our own Ed Vitagliano right here doesn't have power at his house.
No, we got ours last night, 4 o'clock.
You did?
Yes.
How did you know? 4 o'clock? You were waiting on it, weren't you? 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, we were at my son and daughter-in-law's house because they had power, and they live just north of us. And then we got a call from our daughter who was at our house, and she said, power's back on. So that was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we were not quite 48 hours without it, but pretty close. It got down. It was because it's been last night it was in the teens.
Right.
So it's been a very difficult situation for a lot of people, not just us either. States just to the west of us got hammered. My sister, who lives in Frisco, Texas, she texted me, they've got power, but it was 7 degrees. So this was a brutal storm that stretched across 2/3 of the country, and Mississippi got hammered.
Yeah, and we had to deal with it a lot, and it was rough, except unless you were a kid.
Yes.
I would joke this morning because my kids went outside, got their gloves on, their boots on, and they played with the icicles because they don't get to see that but once a year at most,
and sometimes longer than that.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, it was a three-pronged storm. It was freezing rain, which is what we received here in Mississippi for the most part, and parts of Alabama, Tennessee, Louisiana, and Arkansas, and Texas. And then it was a major snowstorm as it went up the mid-Atlantic and into New York City and that part of the country. So it was a bad deal. It was a major winter storm, probably unlike we've seen in a few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Boston, I think somebody reported, 20 inches there? And they were the worst hit airport. Logan Airport was the worst hit as far as cancellations, cancellations there. And bad news for the East Coast. This morning they're saying there's another storm that is developing down to the southeast in the Atlantic there, which may hit another blast of cold air as it moves up.
Yeah,
so they may get pounded again.
Listen, it's dangerous when you get down where you're talking about what they're going through in Pennsylvania and New York. It's, even as hardy as those folks are to cold weather, like you grew up in, Fred, it's dangerous.
It is
for you, when you're dealing with zero and sub-zero temperatures.
Well, you lose power. You think you've got enough food to last for X number of days, and then you go beyond X number of days.
Yeah, and don't get hurt. You have to go to the hospital.
Right. Emergency. Listen, a tip of the hat here in our state, where our flagship station is, to the power companies and to the men, primarily men. I'm sure there are women also involved in this, but who go out in this weather. A lot of our first responders, but to those who are getting power lines back up, it's dangerous work. It's exhausting work. These teams go out for, I don't know what their shifts are, but 48 hours. My wife and I went without power, but we got our power back, and it's not magic. People are up there, and working to get that restored. So,
all right, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, Wesley, and Fred, and we thank you for listening to AFR. The big national story, other than the weather, is what's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Fred, you want to set this story up for us?
Yeah, there's a change coming. The Trump administration, as a result of the death of one of the protesters in Minneapolis in the last several days, there's been a lot happening between Washington and Minneapolis. Conversations, President Trump has had conversations with the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. He's had conversations with the mayor of Minneapolis, Mayor Fry there. And it looks like there's going to be a change in strategy by the federal government. And that has some people concerned, some people celebrating. One of the big parts of this story that's developed over the weekend is that President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, is now, apparently he arrived in Minneapolis last night, and he is going to be part of this change that's coming about. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt announced that yesterday. It's cut number 5, Brent.
Mr. Homan is the point person for cooperating with state and local authorities and corresponding with them, again, to achieve this level of cooperation to subdue the chaos on the streets of Minneapolis. And I would just point out that Mr. Homan is someone who has been lauded for many, many decades for his experience working in law enforcement. Now,
a former spokesperson for the White House is Ms. McEnany. And
Haley McEnany.
Haley McEnany.
She was the spokesperson after Sarah Huckabee.
Yes.
She took over after that.
She gave a very interesting interview this morning on Fox. Of course, she works for Fox now, but I think she's got some inside information as to the changes that are going on in the White House with regards to strategy for Minneapolis. I want you to have a listen to this. Cut number 11.
It is a massive problem when the message being set by the person elected by the American people is lost. It's a massive problem when the direction of the President of the United States is lost, and that is precisely what has happened. On this weekend, President Trump spoke to the Wall Street Journal. We all know this. He declined to characterize the shooting of Alex Preddy. He said he is reviewing everything. But let's go back further than that. Let's go back to Tuesday. Tuesday, President Trump stood at the podium, said, "I felt terribly about the death of Renee Good. I understand both sides." He told his immigration folks, "You've got to lighten up on this." That was Tuesday. That was before Alex Preddy. Let's go back even further. Let's go back to January 11th. Donald Trump talks to the New York Times, and he tells the New York Times, "I want comprehensive immigration reform." They say a path to citizenship. He says possibly, possibly. He has been laying out the appropriate message for weeks now. He has sent a very direct action, lighten up. And when that order is not taken by the Department of Homeland Security, and when the messaging is done wrong not once but twice, the domestic terrorism, snapping to that conclusion right away, that's a problem. And President Trump has done the right thing by setting it straight, getting order, and I'm sure he's reiterated, I was the one who was elected, guys. I set the message.
That's very confusing to me, what she just said. Anybody else? You think that's clear, Fred?
I think her message is clear in that interview this morning. There's been a change in strategy at the White House, and that the people on the ground, the National Guard, the ICE people on the ground in Minneapolis, are not listening to the president's direction. I think that's what she was asserting in that interview.
All right, and let me just say this, because there's a lot of moving parts here. So we're going to get to this as much as we can. Let me say from the outset, okay, I'm just going to tick a few things off. I hope I don't take any of our listeners off. I'm just going to say, let me just make a couple of bullet points here.
Yeah, check some.
Okay. What ICE has been doing has gone fairly flawlessly in cities and states around the country where local law enforcement and politicians cooperate with ICE. Okay, so places like New Orleans, Dallas, other places, we've not had what we've had in Minneapolis. Second of all, I would say that these blue cities and blue states are becoming almost ungovernable when it comes to Donald Trump and the federal government. So let me just say there's a lot of blame to be placed there. Blue cities, blue states, their political leaders. But I'm with Tim, okay? I have not, until she just said this, I have not heard a consistent, clear policy laid out by the Trump administration with regards to immigration, except for we're going to get rid of the bad guys who came here illegally, okay? And that seems to be what ICE has been charged with. I think that the Trump administration needs to carefully and clearly, going forward, lay out where it wants this policy to go, and then make sure those charged with carrying out that policy are clear on it, because the American people are very confused about it, and I'm not sure that.
I didn't get what Kayleigh McEnany was saying. I don't understand her point. Am I the only one?
No, I think she's
play that again. Play her comments again, because I respect her greatly. She was wonderful, but I don't understand. She seems to be praising President Trump while criticizing President Trump at the same time. Like the people who work for him aren't doing the job he says they should do. But listen to her comments again. Go ahead.
It is a massive problem when the message being set by the person elected by the American people is lost. It's a massive problem when the direction of the President of the United States is lost, and that is precisely what has happened. On this weekend, President Trump spoke to the Wall Street Journal. We all know this. He declined to characterize the shooting of Alex Preddy. He said he is reviewing everything. But let's go back further than that. Let's go back to Tuesday. Tuesday, President Trump stood at the podium, said, "I felt terribly about the death of Renee Good. I understand both sides." He told his immigration folks, "You've got to lighten up on this." That was Tuesday. That was before Alex Preddy. Let's go back even further. Let's go back to January 11th. Donald Trump talks to the New York Times, and he tells the New York Times, "I want comprehensive immigration reform." They say a path to citizenship. He says possibly, possibly. He has been laying out the appropriate message 4 weeks now. He has sent a very direct action, lighten up. And when that order is not taken by the Department of Homeland Security, and when the messaging is done wrong not once but twice, the domestic terrorism, snapping to that conclusion right away, that's a problem. And President Trump has done the right thing by setting it straight, getting order, and I'm sure he's reiterated, I was the one who was elected, guys. I set the message.
No, see, I think what she's doing, this is my opinion. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm talking, those that were listening. I think she's covering for the Trump administration and President Trump. You can't say he's been very clear when you also talk about hints and you talk about statements before the New York Times. Right. I haven't read anything where I've seen a comprehensive plan for how this is going to be done. Now, I'm not blaming President Trump because I don't know if he has been specific. If he's been specific to Kristi Noem and others who are supposed to carry out his policies, and they're ignoring those instructions from the president, then they're at fault. But if President Trump has not clearly, lighten up is not a policy position.
No, and that's what Kayleigh McEnany is saying, that President Trump told him,
lighten up.
Told him to light. What does that mean?
What does it mean? Yeah. You've got to now. Maybe he has been specific. I know what Wesley's chomping at the bit here, but if he's been specific, I'd like to know a little bit more about what he told them to do.
We eventually need to get to the shooting side of this, but to finish up with McEnany, is that how you pronounce it?
Kayleigh McEnany.
There is no way you can't do this type of job lightly. You're either deporting people or
right.
You're not.
There's
no. This
lighten
is not,
up. What does that mean?
Yeah, because that's very subjective. Because they go in light. These people moving now to the shooting. This was a light thing. They were going in there to arrest an illegal immigrant who had committed violent crimes, and the protesters crossed the street and interfered with their operation.
Right.
So it was a light. They were doing it. I mean, subjectively, they weren't causing problems. The problems were being caused. We don't have any instances in Minneapolis where the protesters were on the sidewalks with their permits protesting, and there being any confrontation.
Right. If they were staying away from the ICE officers.
To stay away from the ICE officers. So the confrontations have come when the agitators interfere with the ICE doing their job.
Okay. Again, we're talking about, you're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio, and we're talking about what's going on.
Did we clear that
going
up?
on and what's going on in Minneapolis because the left-wing agitators and activists and your
anarchists
and your Antifa types, they are organized, and what they decided to do in Minneapolis was physically resist ICE. And they have, it's a network. They have communications, and they have the support of the mayor and the governor to resist. The governor of Minneapolis is telling them, of Minnesota is telling them to go and videotape ICE. When you have, and in the case of the man who got shot and killed, we don't know all the details there. There's body cam footage to be released yet by the Department of Homeland Security. So we don't know the whole story there yet. But in the case, he was physically resisting. Is that inaccurate?
Yeah, I think
I don't know if he was fighting them, but he was there. He was there to. Excuse me for interrupting. He was there to interfere. Well, that was his point.
We probably could just leave it at that we're waiting on all the details to come back, but we do know some things, so I don't know how much of that we want to cover. Well, we do know that as he was resisting arrest, they had him pinned on the ground, and he was fighting to stand up as he was reaching for his firearm.
He was carrying a gun.
He was carrying a gun. Yeah.
He was legally. He was carrying a gun legally.
Yeah,
but the part of the problem here is Minneapolis is ground zero for the radical left. They are making their stand in that city with the full support of Mayor Fry and the governor of the state, who is fighting off fraud allegations in his administration, and I think loves the fact that he can push the spotlight onto something else. And the radical left has said, we are going to resist Donald Trump and ICE because, as you've said, Tim, on this show many times. The radical left doesn't believe in borders. Nothing should happen to these people. And nothing bad would have happened with Renee Good or Alex Preddy had these protesters not physically engaged with ICE. Okay, now, part of the issue is, my personal belief is the radical left wants this violence. And I'll come to you, Fred, here in just a second. And so what is happening in these places is that they are wanting the confrontation to continue so that violence erupts and they can force a retreat, which it looks like may have been successful.
Well, to Ed's point, listen to the words of self-described Antifa protester Kyle Wagner as he calls for armed resistance to ICE in Minneapolis. Cut number 6.
I'm Kyle. I'm Antifa, and everybody in my DMs and calling me and blowing me up, I love all of you. I understand that the women who see this are really scared that their husbands are going to go and not come back, and that's real, and I am very sorry, ladies, that is what is happening. But I don't understand how you're struggling to follow that they're going to keep killing us if we don't end this. And we can't end this without good men in the streets, armed and ready to protect innocent people from being gunned down by these masked murderers, these fascist occupiers. I need boots on the ground, and I need them prepared to do what needs to be done so that this does not cost more innocent lives. We do not have any more time to let this drag out. I know it sucks, but this is the Iron Front. It's an individual choice. There are no generals in this fight. Viva la resistance. I'm going back to the streets.
That was Antifa?
Self-described Antifa protester Kyle Wagner.
Look, we're going to Wesley's point. We're going to find out if the death of Alex Preddy was what they call a bad shoot. Okay, you may have an ICE officer charged. I don't know. Okay, but that does not mean that what ICE was doing in terms of a policy is wrong. And the reason it happened, I'm convinced, is these agitators want the confrontation. They want more bad shoots. They want people dying as
That's
quote
what he
unquote
was saying. He was
martyrs.
saying, hey, wives, you may lose your husband here, but it's worth it in the greater scheme of things.
Yes, and that's what ICE is up against. And I am convinced,
with no help from the Minneapolis.
Minneapolis and Minnesota are becoming ungovernable when it comes to the federal government because Trump's at the head of the federal government. That's how much they hate him.
Let's connect a few more things. Remember, ICE is going in to remove people that have come here illegally, and they're starting with those that are child molesters and rapists and
drug dealers, and
murderers,
bad dudes. That's what they were doing here. They were going after a bad dude.
Dude. They're trying to get him out. And this person, this Antifa, mischaracterizes ICE as going out and killing people.
Right.
Fascist. Mask, just killing people in our streets.
Killing people in our streets, yeah.
You know, the people on the left have compared ICE to Iran.
Right.
Shooting protesters down in the streets. Yeah. These people are unhinged on the left.
All right, we'll be back momentarily. We got a lot more to cover on this story. This is a big deal for our country right now. It is. We'll be back momentarily. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
You therefore must be perfect, as your Heavenly Father is perfect. Let me share with you a story that happened to me many, many years ago. My study was located in a storage room, or what was supposed to be a storage room, directly behind our home. It was a very small room to begin with, and once I put my books and supplies and machines in it, I could hardly turn around. It was really too small, but it was the best we could come up with at the moment, and I had to bear with it until better days came along. One day I was having one of those days when everything seemed to go wrong. You've had them, I know. We all have. It was a day when I wished, and most folks around me wished, that I'd stayed in bed. My desk was covered over with matters that needed my attention, correspondence was lagging, and there were other matters pressing. Well, I was sitting in my study, half mad at myself and half mad at my lack of space. Then, without knocking, in came my son Timmy and proceeded to sit down behind me. I started to turn and tell him there wasn't room for him in the study, but I waited, for I knew that if I spoke at that particular moment, I would be harsh with him. So I went about my work, listening as he began taking paper from the wastebasket and books from the shelf. He nearly lit a fuse when he spoke. "Daddy," he said, "do you have a pen?" Well, I reached into my pocket and gave him my pen. I then tried to continue my work, but it seemed that every time I turned around, I bumped into him. So, my temperature rising, I turned to scold him and send him back into the house, and upon turning, I was stopped cold by what I saw. Timmy had laid out before him some old papers he'd taken from the trash can, some of my books from the bookshelf, and with a pen in hand, he was marking on a sheet of paper. He'd made himself a makeshift desk that was in something of a mess. Now, most of the time when Timmy wanted to know what I was doing out in the study, I told him that I'm studying. I looked at him there. He paused for a moment and looked up, and after thinking for a few seconds, he began to write again. "What are you doing, son?" I asked him. He looked at me in the eye as only a son can do, and then gave me his answer with a little grin on his face. "I'm studying, Daddy." Well, I didn't say anything else to him. I turned back around and pretended to go back to work. But I didn't do much work for the next few minutes. I just sat there thinking about how proud I was of my son. It made me feel just as big as a man can get to know that my son wanted to be like me, to do what I do. Then a greater truth came to me. My Creator was telling me that this was really what He wanted from me. He wanted me to be like Him. I still think about that often, how good He must feel when we act like Him, do what He does, act like we are one of His children. Wouldn't it be a good world, I say to myself, if we wanted to be like Him as much as Timmy wanted to be like his father? It sure would.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Psalm 139, 23, and 24.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, Wesley, and Fred. We've been talking about what's happening in Minneapolis, and it's a very fluid situation with respect to the ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the Border Patrol officers who are there. Again, as Wesley pointed out, ICE has been carrying out, operations in many places across the country without incident. They go in.
They're there for 8 or 10 days, 15 days.
They're there to arrest drug dealers, child
rapists.
Bad people who've committed crimes, who are drug traffickers, things like that, to deport them. Right. To go ahead, or arrest them and then they go to trial and everything. So, but what's happened here in Minneapolis is that the political left agitators, and they organized to physically resist ICE in the street, and because of that, I'm telling people things they already know, I know, but just to set the stage again here on what led up to this situation where 2 people have been killed by ICE. That is, So ICE is told to go and get the bad guy. They just tell them where they are. They have an operation for that day or that hour or whatever like that. They go, and then they're met with these protesters, these agitators, these Antifa types.
Well, and we just played right before the break. We played the audio of one of the leaders of Antifa.
Get cameras, get in the face, interfere. All right, if you're these ICE people are not trained for crowd control, okay?
Right.
And they can't call the Minneapolis Police Department to come help them. So they're left on their own.
They could. In other states they have, but you're saying in this case.
Because they've been, the local law enforcement have been told don't help.
I would say, okay, I'm just going to talk out of, I'm just thinking off a little bit off the top of my head. But if I'm ICE agents and I'm faced with this situation, listen, we're all human. Somebody starts throwing things at you, all right, and you don't know where it's coming from. They're shouting at you. They're cursing at you. They're putting cameras in your face. They're taunting you. You can either A, double down, bring in more reinforcements, and go do what you're there to do, or you can say, okay, we need to just back off. I know it means these people have won, but we need to back off, or else we're going to have a bloodshed, because that's the two choices that these ICE agents were left with. Now, all right, now you're left, now President Trump, you have two people who have died, right? Two people who've died at the hands of ICE, right? Again, the whole scenario I just laid before you on how this, the physical confrontation in the street, you can understand how this would go bad, especially if this guy's carrying a gun. He was carrying a gun for a reason. This guy who.
Well, now we do want to say, because we are going to cover a comment made by Kash Patel that he was legally carrying a gun. He has a permit for that gun. We're talking about Alex.
I would just say it's unwise. If you're going to go confront ICE, don't carry a gun. That's what I would say. But anyway,
because we all know the training of an officer, when they see it, when you're fighting with an officer and they see a firearm, that's the problem, because they're trained.
Yeah. Why? My question to him,
because then the officer's going to say, well, his training would go, well, I'm being attacked by a man who has, and now I see a firearm. That firearm can be used to harm me, and the logical thinking is, well, he could use that against me because we're fighting. So, like to Dad's point, if you're going to fight, first of all, it's not wise to fight an officer.
Right.
I don't know. Was he fighting him?
He was fighting. He was fighting officers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. They were trying to get him to the ground, and then he was
wrestling.
He was trying to get back up.
Yeah, he was wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what
he
it
was
looked
resisting.
like to me.
Resisting
Yeah.
arrest.
Resisting. And then again, I go back to I'm not sure we can cover this politically. President Trump, this is a very what do you say, signature moment for his administration? Would you say what's going to happen?
This is
what's going to happen
fork
in the
in the
next
road
24 hours?
politically.
There are a lot of people praising him for kicking Kristi Noem to the side. And what's the other gentleman who's
you're talking about Tom Homan, bringing him into Minneapolis
to replace Greg Bovino.
Oh yeah,
who is Greg Bovino? For those
Greg Bovino was basically head of the Border Patrol.
Okay, he's been in Minneapolis.
Border Patrol commander, I think.
Yes, and he has led the operation in Minneapolis.
Okay, so Noem and Bovino have been sidelined now by Trump, President Trump.
Bovino for sure. He's been sent packing.
I don't think anything official has been done with Kristi Noem.
No.
But Trump has basically said we're bringing in Tom Homan.
But you think she's going to be? You think she's going to be the scapegoat?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't know what's going to happen. But it sounded like from Kayleigh McEnany in this clip we played before the break that the Trump administration is moving to say President Trump has not wanted what's happening in Minneapolis to happen, and now he's going to take the reins.
They've gone. That insinuation is that they've gone rogue.
Or
the ICE is going. When Kayleigh McEnany,
I don't think they're going to say ICE has gone rogue because they ICE feels like the president has their back. I think what the Trump administration is pivoting to is President Trump has not wanted this to happen. And like Kayleigh McEnany said, he wanted something else to happen, and the people in charge have not been carrying out.
Hold on, one other question. Not wanted what to happen?
What the 2 deaths in Minneapolis.
Well, who does?
Well, no, I that's why Kayleigh McEnany was saying President Trump has been saying lighten up, take a less strong approach.
Well, listen, Fred talk. That's double talk. I'm saying to you, that's double talk. Either get in and tell them you do your job and I got your back, or you get out. Yes. You don't tell them go in there and knock on doors and say, hello, everybody in there. We got some gifts for you. We're ICE.
But what I'm saying is President Trump he can't say, I've changed my mind about Minneapolis. Well, because that's politicians don't do that.
He's a politician?
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you said you either tell them to go in and get out, to get their job done and get out, or you pull them out and not do it at all. I think President Trump actually wanted the first thing to happen. Now it's turned badly. It's gone badly. And now he can't say, I was wrong, because politically, first of all, personality-wise, he's not going to do that. Politically, that could cost the Republican Party. So now your only option is to say, I didn't want them to go in and get the job done if it was going to lead to people dying. I want a different approach, and that's what I've been trying to communicate. That's what Kayleigh McEnany said, and that's going to be what President Trump is going to say, I think, so he can back out.
To all your points, Guy Benson is a Fox contributor. He says the change, sending Tom Homan in to replace Greg Bovino, is because Trump, this is what Guy Benson said, Trump is losing the PR battle. Cut 4.
Well, it seems like a demotion at the very least, and my guess is President Trump, and there were some sources whispering about this over the weekend, he was watching how everything went down in this terrible, deadly incident, the response, the statements that were made by high-ranking officials, and the backlash against the untruthfulness of some of those statements, or at least the debatable nature of what they were saying. And he said, enough of this. This is, among other things, a political and PR battle, and a way to lose it is to not have credibility with the public. And so he decided to send in Tom Homan, who's a very experienced guy. He understands the job through and through. He wants to take it very seriously and do it the right way. And I think that Trump going out of his way to note that Homan hadn't been involved in Minneapolis or Minnesota was sort of a blank slate moment to say, hey, this needs fresh eyes, fresh leadership. And by the way, he's reporting directly to me. That was a shakeup, and I think a needed one.
So here's the only problem with this. Trump is the commander-in-chief. And if your troops in the field feel that your commander-in-chief is ready to throw you underneath the bus, the impact that has on the overall battle.
Yeah.
Because if I'm looking at this through Democrat leadership eyes, they're now going to say the governor of Minnesota and the mayor of Minneapolis, Frye, look what they did. We need to copy that.
Right.
Because we know now that Trump will back down. And by the way, we've talked about this. What did McEnany mean by quoting Trump as saying to lighten up? How do you lighten up in an operation when you're told to go in and get the bad guys, the people who are in this country illegally? What does lighten up mean? If you're a soldier in the field, what does it mean when you tell them to lighten up on the enemy?
Right.
I mean,
that's why I'm saying it's double talk. It's wanting it both ways. You want to do the operation without having the potential for things to go bad, and if you're gonna be willing to, if you're going to go in with this heavy law enforcement like ICE to get the bad guys, and they're confronted out on the streets with people, and something goes bad, like with these 2 deaths, either you got to be willing to. Now you can say we're gonna do an investigation, right?
Sure.
But what you've got to do, seems to me, is say, no, wait a minute. We're there to do a job.
Yeah.
And we're being attacked.
Yeah, and we're getting no help by local law enforcement.
No help from so either we're going to do the job or we're going to pull out.
Yep. There's no halfway doing it.
You can't go lighten up. That's just to me that's silly.
Yeah.
Comment, and this is a lot of people don't have any answers on this, direct answers, because they want to do something, but if something goes bad, then they don't want to take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, if
I think this is, y'all brace yourself, don't fall out of your seats here, but I think Trump's wrong here.
Wait a minute, write this down, ladies and gentlemen. MAGA Wesley is now going to criticize President Trump at some point.
First time in 6 years of his term, or going on 6 years.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You can't do like you. Well, I won't articulate it better than you did, but you can't do this type of job softly. Well, you can attempt to, but when you're confronted with agitators crossing the street, getting in your way, then it becomes a problem. And so I think that if Trump pulls out and does not finish what he started there, then and the other team wins, I think he's wrong for so many different reasons, and the ripple effect that has on on the people that the morale, and for those that have, and for Antifa the other way, it emboldens them because a lot of them are organized from other states. So they actually care about this beyond just Minneapolis. So they're going to take their crew and they're going to pack up and say, we won this one. Here's what we did to win. This is like I compared it to like a ministry or that up and roots and goes to locations like disaster relief. Like these people are going to up and go to the next stop, wherever ICE goes next, and they're going to start all over again. Now, can they get away with that in a small town in the South? Probably not. But if they go to another big city where you're not going to get any local help, they're going to duplicate their efforts here. And also too, why can't there? I understand that we have a media, the news, and people follow that, and that dictates a lot of politics. I understand, but why can't these two shoots just go to investigations, and why can't ICE go back to doing their job and finishing the task? I don't understand why we have to be. It's so frustrating as a citizen who voted for Trump to do this right here, what he's doing, and then all of a sudden it could be derailed because of some PR videos from a guy who, you know what I mean? It shouldn't alter what the mission was, just because if the investigation plays out and the guy is proven to have done something, the ICE officer has been proven to have done wrongful trainings or whatever, let that play out, but that shouldn't dictate the.
Can I let me just draw attention to the deeper problem here in our country. Now, this is painting with a broad brush, so I'm sure there are exceptions to this. You have on the left, most of a good portion of the left, people who hate God, who are, as a result of that, by nature rebellious against authority. And they're going to do this, what you're just talking about, Wesley. They're going to do this all day long because this is their nature. They're going to fight against legitimate authority. They're going to fight against righteousness. They're going to say, we don't care if you're out there to get rapists or drug dealers. We want the border open. And if you don't like it, you're not just politically wrong, you're the enemy. That's on the left. On the conservative side, again, there are exceptions to this. You have Republicans whose number one job in Congress is to get reelected. They're not there primarily. They're there to serve their constituents, yes, but that's not at the top of the list. At the top of the list is, I want to get reelected, okay? And they're going to collapse when the heat is on, because this isn't about doing the right thing, no matter the cost. This is about doing the right thing until it costs me, and then they fold. So,
including President Trump, you think?
No, I think President Trump, I think, is a special. He's a different animal altogether. He's got his own issues, his own strengths. But I'm saying, in terms of what President Trump and his the people speaking into his ear, they're saying you could lose the whole Republican Party in the midterms, and that'll be on you, Donald Trump. That'll be your legacy.
Yeah,
and
but
that moves President Trump.
Yeah, well, he's going to lose me for a minute if he pulls out, because we're hours away from having another Laken Riley, and then all of a sudden we got to get illegals out again.
Yeah.
I mean, like we voted for him to do exactly what he's doing. Now is there a dilemma here that because of the PR and 2 people were shot and blah blah? Yeah, but we voted for him to get people out.
That is true. I think Donald Trump won the Electoral College and he won the popular vote. And one of the big issues was that Biden had let 15 million people walk into our country. We didn't know who they were. A lot of bad people, a lot of people doing human trafficking, drug. And now Trump was left the job of cleaning this mess up, trying to get these people out of our country or have them arrested. Deal with the ramifications of it. But okay, I'm like Wesley at what I hear you saying, and Wesley's more hardcore MAGA than I am. I'm more moderate. I share my heart.
You're a moderate MAGA.
I share my heart.
Yes.
Don't I, Ed?
Yes.
Share my heart. No,
MAGA moderate. I like it. I like that.
I'm really not very moderate.
I'm
pretty conservative, but as I said, this is a telltale moment for President Trump. No, not Kristi Noem, not because she's being pushed to the side. She'll probably be fired.
Well, she has not been pushed as far to the side as the Border
Patrol. Did he get told he got sent home?
Man, I love that guy. So that's what irritates me.
Did he get sent home?
He did get sent home.
He got sent home to California, right?
Yeah.
So
he got replaced. This is why he got replaced by Tom Homan. But the problem, I mean, Bonvino, that dude's awesome. Like, it's so frustrating. He hadn't done anything wrong. It's not his problem.
That's why I think he's actually been carrying out
the
instructions from the White House.
Yes.
But now that it is kind of blowing up, I think the president is shifting strategy, tactics.
Okay. What do you mean by President Trump's a different animal when he is doing? And listen, I've been on President Trump's, but he is. Wesley's just expressed the feeling of a lot of MAGA type folks, and that is Trump looks like he's folding on this and is going to retreat and going to move out when and how do you say, well, yes, he's strong. He is unrelenting. He is a man of conviction, and yet here he is about to pull out because the protesters won in Minneapolis.
When I said that he's a different animal, I mean he's different, let's say, from the Republicans I was characterizing. I don't think President Trump is swayed as much by public opinion polls as some in the Republican Party, many in the Republican Party whose number one job is to get reelected. But we have said on the show many times, President Trump is a pragmatist. He's a deal maker. That is who he is. He's a deal maker, and so if he can make a deal to try to continue to get this illegal immigration problem solved, and at the same time back out of Minneapolis and maybe save some face, I think he's going to try to do that, and I think that's why Bovino's out and Tom Homan is in. Does that? Am I explaining?
Yes, it is. But deal making. What's the difference between deal making and compromising?
Well, okay, so I can help you out here a little bit. So what I would say to kind of clarify or to add more clarification to what Ed's saying is that Trump has had a history of doing things that the Republicans said they were going to do but never did, and he just did them. But then at the same time, he still does the art of the deal where that doesn't change the fact that he's got a long, I mean, yeah, I was trying to think of just one off the top of my head, but actually, here's one, actually shutting down the border. The Republicans been saying they were going to do that for years and they never did. They get in office and they quit doing it, but he did it. He's done a lot of things that are, I guess, really bold for the conservative movement, but yet at the same time, he's still a deal maker. So I think both are true at the same time.
Yeah, when I say a deal maker, and you said, what was your question again?
What's the difference between a deal maker and a compromiser?
Okay. All right. So
and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with compromising sometimes.
Right.
Sure.
Sometimes in politics, you have to compromise.
Sure.
So a compromiser would be someone that, let's say, let me just use myself as an example, not of a compromiser, but what I'm talking about. If the Republican Party came out in favor of abortion and gay marriage, and they said, we are going to promote these two things, I would stop being a Republican or stop supporting a Republican. No matter what the consequences were to the country, I would say those principles, marriage and life, are too important for me, even if the country goes to Hades in a handbasket, okay? So to me, compromise is when you say, well, to get elected, even though I am pro-life, I'll vote for pro-abortion policies. That's a compromiser because your principles aren't what you hold uppermost. It's getting to Washington, D.C. That's more important. When I say President Trump is a deal maker, President Trump is saying, listen, we need to solve this illegal immigration issue, but I'm open to the details of that. This is what I would like to see happen. I'd like to see us get all of these illegals out, and I'm going to turn ICE loose to do that. But if that blows up in my face because of leftist lunatics,
a different way.
I'm going to try a different way, and I'm willing to talk about that because he wants to try to get the illegal immigration solved. It doesn't matter how he gets that done. Yeah. Does that make sense? I'm not sure that's...
It would be, looking back now, he probably could have put Minneapolis at the bottom of the list as he's heading out instead of this early on.
Right.
Because he's got ICE has a list and a plan for the next 3 years of their stops and where they're going. Probably would have moved this one to the bottom.
I would say that about I would get it done in all the red states first, and maybe they've been pretty successful doing that. Mm-hmm. And then you turn to blue states, and then you pick hardcore leftist enclaves like Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah, I'm about to look at what states have ICE been to.
California.
They've already been there.
So don't go where it's the hardest.
That's first.
You wait.
We're a year into this.
Yeah,
ICE has been all over the country.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Fred. What are you going to say?
No, the other victorious party in all of this is the mainstream media, and that bothers me the most.
Yep.
They basically, politically speaking, got in bed with the governor of Minnesota and the mayor of Minneapolis. They mainstream media didn't call them out for comparing ICE to Nazis.
Right.
Trying to use, Waltz has brought up the Holocaust a number of times. The mainstream media has said nothing. So there is, if you're looking at this from the left of the political spectrum, you are praising Mayor Fry today, and you're praising Tim Waltz today, and you're praising the mainstream media. They got together and they defeated Donald Trump.
No. At least in this particular instance, it looks like it.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what Tom Homan says today.
Yeah.
After his meeting with Fry.
I do trust him.
Yeah.
To be a straight shooter, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a good pick for this.
It's going to be interesting to see because they've got some conditions to pull ICE out that I've read about where Minnesota has to hand over illegal criminals. And I don't think they're going to do that, but I could be wrong.
It's hard to take though, like Fred's saying, because the bad guys are winning, doing it the bad way, illegally, and now we're sitting here going, well, I guess they win this round.
We'll be back. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
They will thrust a cell phone in your face. If you ask a question, they'll surround you with cameras. They'll scream at you. They'll try to get you to commit violence. I believe God is giving us a little bit of a glimpse into what life without Him would be like.
A Disciple's View with Todd Herman. Critical information from a faith-enriching perspective. Weekdays at noon Central on AFR. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. The Trump administration is reportedly considering a naval blockade of Cuba. Jillian Turner explains from the State Department.
The Trump administration is considering potential options to try and push for regime change inside Cuba. This on the heels of ousting Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. And one of those options is indeed a full naval blockade that would be meant to choke off oil imports to the communist country. Here's what a State Department spokesperson tells Fox News about this. Cuba is a failing nation. Thanks to the president's leadership, our region is safer, stronger, and more prosperous. It's international security interests for Cuba, which is 90 miles away from our shores, to be completely run by a democratic government and refuse to host our adversaries' military.
A new influx of Arctic air is expected to spur freezing temperatures in parts of the South already covered in snow and ice. Many people have fled to warming shelters, and crews are working to restore power. At least 32 deaths have been reported in states afflicted with severe cold. At least 500,000 people are still without power, and Mississippi was especially hard hit. But Governor Tate Reeves says things are looking up.
Well, we have deployed the Mississippi National Guard. They do a lot of things really well. We are ensuring that they're going to be involved in the logistics play here, because what we're going to be looking at is we hopefully get a lot of those 140,000 customers that currently do not have power. We're hoping to get a good percentage of them back on today or tomorrow.
This past weekend's winter storm may be over, but airports across the country are still facing delays and cancellations. Grady Trimble has the latest from Reagan National Airport in Arlington, Virginia.
Compared to yesterday, it's looking good, but there's still a smattering of red and yellow for those cancellations and delays. And zooming out across the country, we've got more than 1,500 delays and another more than 1,500 cancellations today. That's on top of the roughly 6,200 cancellations yesterday as the effects of that weekend storm linger. American Airlines alone has had to cancel more than 9,000 flights, making this the largest weather-related disruption in the company's history. It expects 2 more days of higher cancellation levels before operations get back to normal later this week.
The law enforcement situation in Minneapolis is dangerous and untenable. That, according to an expert who just returned from the streets of the Twin Cities and spoke with American Family News. More from Steve Jordahl.
The Minneapolis Police Department was gutted during the BLM riots of 2020 and the subsequent defund movement at the hands of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey. Randy Sutton of the Wounded Blue says those that remain are being told to ignore the safety and well-being of their brothers in blue with the Border Patrol and Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
I have never seen this in my entire law enforcement career. I've never seen a police agency like Minneapolis completely turn its back on the responsibilities that they have in their community.
Sutton says the protesters are well-funded and organized.
There's a lot of money being poured into this. There's a lot of organization. There's a lot of technology that is being employed here to foment the destruction and the divisiveness and the hatred.
And they're being backed by the state attorney general and governor, who are telling the protesters to get out their cameras and record everything ICE is doing.
Ellison is a complete moron. He is threatening, along with Walz, every single officer who is simply doing their duty. It's basically, let's set up failure. And then when they do, let's threaten them with prosecution.
Sutton says both federal, state, and local law enforcement officers tell him they're overwhelmed and discouraged.
Let the law enforcement community know that the Wounded Blue is here, that if they are struggling, call us at 833-TWB-TALK, 833-TWB-TALK.
I'm Steve Jordahl.
On Wall Street, U.S. stocks are zigzagging, following a rush of mixed profit reports from United Health, General Motors, and other big companies. More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, the tours we've got planned in 2026 are going to be fantastic. They're historical, spiritual, heritage tours. For the information all about them, the D.C., the Williamsburg, the Boston tours, go to wildmongroup.com, WILDMON group.com, and we hope to see you on one of our 2026 Spiritual Heritage Tours.
Thriving families, a powerful military, and a strong economy are the three pillars needed to rebuild our country.
Psalm 11:3 asks, if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? In the video, 3 Steps to Rebuilding America, Walker Wildmon addresses that question.
If our military is not serviced, so to speak, it's not going to be ready to perform, and it ultimately becomes ineffective.
Find 3 Steps to Rebuilding America and much more at stream.afa.net.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. And we've Ed Battagliano is with me today. I'm Tim Wildmon, as is Wesley Wildmon. And joining us now is Steve Paisley. Jordal, good morning, Brother Steve.
Good morning, everybody. Anything to talk about today?
Yeah, we're just kind of shooting the breeze over here, Steve.
Talking football, you know what?
Not much to talk about. Obviously, the impacts of the winter storm. They named that winter storm. What was the name of it?
Fawn.
What?
Fawn.
F-A-W-N.
What a wimpy name.
Pretty sure that
for
was
a,
it, right?
For a storm.
Fern, F-E-R-N. Sorry, thank you.
That's also a weird name.
It is pretty weird.
Fern, but at least that's a person's name. I've never seen anyone. Don't they always name these storms a person's name?
Yes, and it used to be only women, but now
yes.
Well, I don't ever remember winter storms being named.
I don't either.
Oh, me either.
Hurricanes always got their name.
Yeah.
But winter storms, I never remember them getting with this winter storm.
Fern.
It is easier to refer to something, you or Hurricane Ida or whatever, and people's ideas of what you're talking about, rather than the hurricane of
Well, you have to have a name for it because apparently, according to the Department of Homeland Security, you can't use the word ice when you're talking about it. which
you can't say ice storm.
No, you can't say ice. This is a report that FEMA, the officials are saying that you have to watch out for words like ice. Sources.
Wait, you're not serious. You're not serious. You're serious?
I am. CNN's reporting that sources in the Department of Homeland Security say that FEMA has been forbidden from using the word ice in any warning regarding the massive winter storm that's sweeping our nation. I'm reading from CNN. Officials say they worry that certain phrasing like "watch out for ice" could be misinterpreted.
This sounds like the Biden administration.
I know. If FEMA says keep off the roads if you see ice, it could easily be used politically.
So now it's a trigger word?
It's a trigger word. Ice.
FEMA's? I didn't know FEMA was still around. They're still around.
Well,
who thinks that? Listen, when I hear on the news, as I have, watch out for black ice on the roads.
Now
okay?
you're racist.
I'm not thinking race. So who in the world is thinking immigration and customs enforcement when someone's talking about a winter storm producing ice on the roads?
Apparently the Department of Homeland Security.
Wow.
Well, like people don't have
so we're calling
aren't able to distinguish.
Yeah.
So we're calling it Fern.
Just what?
Oh man.
Give me a break. Don't break the ice.
Give me a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
All right. So anyway, the two major stories: the effects of the winter storm. Hundreds of thousands of people still don't have power. Some don't have water either.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially
including some of our employees.
Yeah.
They don't, which is tough when you're told to run the water, drip the water, and pencil stream this and all that.
I mean, if they come in tomorrow and they wouldn't have had water, they wouldn't have taken showers. Should I be avoiding our?
I'm not asking. If you feel like you should ask, just don't trigger anybody.
Won't it be obvious?
No.
Yeah. All right. What's your first story, Steve?
All right. There is a new podcaster on the left. Her name is Jennifer Welch.
Jennifer?
Jennifer.
I don't know what she was doing now.
Now she's gaining in popularity, right?
Well, it's kind of astroturfed. So she's gaining in popularity because the liberals say they need someone like Joe Rogan. Now, keep in mind, Joe Rogan definitely is not a conservative, although he interviewed Donald Trump and didn't like cuss him out on the air. So of course it makes everybody on the left makes him a conservative. So the liberals think that they need their own version of this. So they have anointed this gal called Jennifer Welsh as their liberal podcaster, hoping that they can kind of make inroads into the medium of podcasting. And she has been talking. She is not a fan of evangelicals, I got to say. And I will give you example number 1. Listen to cut 20.
This is a cancer. White evangelical Christianity is a cancer. These are the worst of our country. These are the worst people in our country because they use their religion in 2 ways, as a weapon and as a shield. They weaponize it whenever they want to and say, we're on the moral high ground. You're a lesbian. You deserve to die. You're a lesbian. The cops shouldn't have revived you. Oh, your parents are Mexicans and they brought you over here. Yeah, you should go to jail and eat worm food. And then when you call them out on it, they're after the Christians. How dare they? How dare they? We're so oppressed. White Christians are so oppressed in this country. And they want it both ways because in the religion, that duplicity is taught. You can be morally duplicitous. You thrive in cognitive dissonance. And so this is just a massive, massive problem. And it should come as no surprise to anyone that of this cult that I'm talking about, white evangelicals, I think over 80% went and voted triple Trump.
Yeah, she
doesn't
like you very much, Ed.
First of all, she's a blatherskite. I mentioned that last week as someone who speaks utter nonsense. That, folks, let me just say,
that's not true.
I have in the past used the word moron and idiot, and some of you have called me on it.
That was very hurtful, and we talked about it after the show.
And you're right. I am going to try not to call human beings idiots or morons.
Well, Wesley said he'd
on
do it
the
for
air.
you.
On the air, I'm going to try not to do that. So blatherskite is my way of softening that, and that's what's her name?
Jennifer Welsh.
Okay, Jennifer Welsh. She is a blatherskite and a liar.
That's right.
Okay, because she's lying about evangelical Christians. And
it's not what they're taught. She says that's what they're taught.
Yes. Listen, there was about a half dozen things she said that were outright lies. But let me just tell you this. This is what the enemies of Christianity have always done. They did this under the Roman Empire. They said they were doing, when Christians met, said they were engaging in cannibalism and all this kind of stuff. But the reason Steve asked me about playing this, I said, yeah, let's do it. Because to me, that is what at least the radical left believes about Christians. So, folks, you better be able to defend your faith in a Christian way and be able to answer this and talk about the gospel, because there are people who want to characterize your faith for you.
Listen, I've been an evangelical white Christian, still white. Yeah, I was just checking. Yes. You never know.
Well,
you never know what kind of environmental things are out there changing your skin color.
That's right.
So I'm still whatever the color that is right there. What is that?
Yeah, microplastics. You never know how that can change.
So I've been a white. My name is Tim.
That's it.
I am a white evangelical Christian.
Hello, Tim.
Would you like to apologize for that?
Yes, I would like to apologize. What I'm saying is,
your skin color, your religion.
Both. I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about. What I'm saying is, I've listened to. Yes, is evangelical opposed to homosexuality?
Well, sure.
Yes, because the Bible is
right.
opposed to sexual immorality.
But we don't want them to die.
We want everybody to repent and turn to God.
Yeah,
and we're all sinners.
Right.
So what she's using a false narrative. Is that what you would
she
say?
has a whole parade of straw men.
There you go.
Yes.
Walking
if
through.
you want to say I disagree with the white evangelicals because they shouldn't be white.
Yeah. Or I don't believe Christianity
Isn't she
true.
white?
She is white.
She is white.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really disappointing. She needs to change her skin color. But I don't know. I don't know what white has to do with anything. There are a lot of black evangelicals. There are a lot of Hispanic evangelicals. So why is she just picking
And I'll
on?
tell you what, the black evangelicals and Hispanic, brown evangelicals, they believe the Bible too.
I know. So I don't know why she's singling out white evangelicals.
Well, because she represents the radical left and its view of who the problem is. She called Christians, evangelical Christians, cancer.
Yeah,
the cancer.
That's what a lot of these folks believe that.
But everything she accused of right there is absolutely not true of the vast majority of evangelical white Christians.
I don't want anyone eating worm food. What does that even mean?
She's just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
Now that used to, I would say, like I mentioned this when we had Frank on 10 years ago 15 years ago in college, that would be my generation 15 years ago in college would get very defensive and try to start defending that. Now,
defending what?
Defending that we're saying things. Well, we would go further than we're doing here and be like, well, that's not fair. I don't believe that. Blah blah blah. But that type of stuff doesn't work anymore. No, everybody knows. Even if you're not a Christian, most people know that what she's saying is simply not true.
Yeah.
And because we have history.
Yeah, it's a false caricature, but it works with her far left buddies. Go ahead, next story.
All right. I wanted to go back, if we can, to the Minnesota thing just a second, because I want to kind of demonstrate to you how far the left will go to try to gain sympathy for their cause. So Tim Walz, we have chronicled a whole lot of stuff that he has said about ICE and about what's going on there.
Talking about the governor of Minnesota.
Governor of Minnesota, and he has a warning. He says that the children of Minnesota are suffering. And, well, he has a comparison to make. Cut 14.
Allow our children to go back to school. We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now.
The Holocaust Museum was pretty offended at that comparison, I will tell you.
Well, Governor Tim Walz is a blatherskite.
We're just bringing them all out for you.
So he's talking about ICE arresting and then deporting people who have children. Is that what he's saying?
The children.
Why is he saying children are hiding?
He's saying the children who are here illegally in our country, the children of people here who are here illegally are hiding in Minnesota in hopes that ICE doesn't catch them and deport them. That's what he's saying.
That may be true. Okay, about some of the children of people who are here illegally. That is not a solution to the problem.
He's saying let them go back to school.
Yeah.
Quit harassing them. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
But, go ahead.
Comparing him to Anne Frank, which,
Anne Frank, she helped people escape the Nazis who were going to kill them.
And she wasn't, she was a citizen of the country in which she resided, not an immigrant. There's a lot of reasons that does not work.
She was hiding from Nazis who wanted to kill her because she was a Jew.
Right. That's what they're saying about ICE.
All right. A while back, we remember when we sent our SEAL team in to take out the ruler of
Venezuela,
Maduro.
Yeah.
Well, we left in place an acting president. Her name is Delcy Rodriguez. And Delcy Rodriguez is said to be kind of an ideological twin to Maduro. In other words, we left the same thing that we took out in charge. And the thought was we have so much influence over that country now because we have their oil and we can always take her out the same way that they took out Maduro. We can send another strike team in that she's going to toe the line. But she is saying that she has had enough of U.S. interference in the country's politics. My question to you, the panel, is if we went to this trouble to take out Maduro, what good is it if we left in Maduro light? Is this a Donald Trump maybe not following through with the threat?
Well, you want mine?
No, go ahead.
I think the biggest thing here is that Trump still has the card that says I removed Maduro, so if you want to be next, you better do what I say. Otherwise, you're next. Or I do think though that the bigger picture here was the oil. So as long as they work with us on the oil, I don't think he cares that much if it's a light version of Maduro. If that makes sense.
You think he's allowing her? She can say whatever she wants as long as she toes the line.
Yep, that's right.
Well,
Yep.
and she's probably, I don't know, there may be back channel communications between Venezuela and the U.S., and she may be saying, in order to shore up my position, I have to
work with.
I gotta say things that I believe. I'm not going to be your puppet, but we will work behind the scenes, to Wesley's point. And I think as long as that gets done, I would like to see it continue, that oil does not go from Venezuela to places like Cuba, Iran, or Russia, or something like that. And so I'm pretty flexible at this point about how the Trump administration handles Venezuela. We'll see.
Well, President Trump said he is the acting president of Venezuela.
He did.
Go ahead.
He did. Yep.
So,
Is
is that true or not?
No, he did say that.
No, is it true though?
Is he
that he is that? No. I think what he's saying is
we always have to say that about Trump. We always have to say that about Trump.
I think what he's trying to say.
I think what he's trying to say
is that I'm going to do what I think is right in this hemisphere, and you may be the actual acting president of Venezuela, but I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Trump. I think that's what Trump is saying. The only reason I say I think that's what he's saying is because we have nothing other than the tweet or the Truth Social. I don't know what you call those. They're not tweets.
Truth Social.
The post where he said, "I'm the acting president of Venezuela."
Yes.
How come you're always tossing those questions to me? like I can explain.
I don't know. I don't know. Your question, Steve, was what are we going to do about a new? I don't think we're going to do anything. Probably,
My question is, we labeled the capture of Maduro as this huge victory, and we've now taken Venezuela off of the board as far as a Marxist country. We've liberated their people. It's a toppling of the government. We're going to restore economic stability in the country. If she is his clone and is in charge, what have we done?
I think too early to tell.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Next story, Steve.
It's probably fair.
Try to trap us now, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to.
We're ready for you. Too early to tell, Steve. I'll do like my parents said to me and what we said to our children. We'll see.
We'll see.
And Steve,
We'll see covers a host of answers.
Steve, I think what Tim is trying to say here.
Oh yeah,
I'm playing 3D chess.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to make a deal. So, the art of the deal.
I'm just trying to get to lunch.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to do.
You just want your power back on, don't you?
Power back on.
I'd like to have something to talk about for the next 7 minutes. That's what I want. All right. According to the Russian newspaper TASS.
What now?
According to the Russian newspaper TASS, T-A-S-S, that's a Russian newspaper, Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, is saying that the Golden Dome project that Donald Trump has the United States on, which is the missile shield that the United States has put up, he's calling that provocative, and that it could trigger nuclear instability. My question to the panel, and I have questions to
We'll see.
is what does it say when it's a defensive shield? It cannot launch anything. It just defends. Why would it be provocative to be able to protect ourselves?
And it was provocative to who now?
To the Russians.
Well, Medvedev he was president of Russia in between Putin. Okay, so Putin did allow someone else to be elected temporarily. But here's the way that argument goes, and this goes all the way back to the 60s. and the 70s when the United States was considering anti-ballistic missile, ABM, technology. And we wound up with an ABM treaty with the Soviet Union, because what the Soviet Union said was, if you develop an anti-ballistic missile shield that shoots down nuclear weapons, that makes it more likely that you will launch nuclear weapons first, because you're not going to suffer as greatly in a counterstrike because of your ABM technology. And therefore, we're going to have to develop even more and better nuclear missiles, which destabilizes the nuclear weapons situation. In fact, I'm pretty sure that the ABM technology, anti-ballistic missile technology, was the reason for the development of MIRV technology, which is multiple independently targeted reentry vehicles. So these are ICBMs.
He had a talk show at one point, didn't he?
Yes. MIRV. Yeah, MIRV Griffin. These are missiles that you fire, and on their descent, ICBMs, you have multiple missiles, warheads, released by that missile.
Kind of like my golf game.
Kind of like your golf game.
Just multiple bad shots released in consecutive fashion.
You know, I try to have a serious discussion. You realize
I'm sorry.
I haven't talked about MIRV technology since I was at Boston College in a political science class. Give me this moment.
Okay.
Give me this moment.
My bad.
When am I going to talk about this again?
I apologize.
Uninterrupted.
Yeah,
moment.
so that's an old argument that if we have a Golden Dome, we might strike Russia with nuclear weapons first. So they're going to have to do something to beat our Golden Dome.
Are you in favor of the Golden Dome?
I'm in favor of the Golden Dome.
All right.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think President Trump is a genius for wanting to install it.
All right.
And I don't care if it's provocative.
Yeah, we don't care if it's provocative.
We don't care.
As long as we're doing the
Why do you think we care?
If I was
whether it's provocative or not, we don't care.
If I was Trump, I'd say, well, I'll tell you what, let this be a discussion then, Vladimir, of let's maybe cut back on some of our nuclear missiles.
Yeah,
There
how you
you
like
go.
them apples?
I do like them apples. I want to take you, as we leave you all today, to Fancy Gap, Virginia. Did you
I'm
know
ready.
there's a place
I haven't
called
talked about
Gap?
Fancy Gap, Virginia, since I was in Boston College.
There
Let's
is
go.
a guy a group that put up a billboard in Fancy Gap called, and the billboard read, "Jesus is not God. The Scripture says Jesus did not pre-exist in heaven."
Blasphemy.
And
That's a billboard?
God did it. It was a billboard.
Blasphemy.
It was.
Well, yes, because someone who has maybe some better theology went with a big, huge paintbrush and took out some words.
A Christian vandal.
Well, it's called evangelism, is what they're calling this.
Evangelism.
Evangelism. He
Listen,
corrected the billboard. So
in
now
the
it
spirit
says,
of the left, I'm for resistance.
the Bible says Jesus
Right?
is God.
That's right.
I'm for resistance.
Hey,
we need to physically resist this message.
You let the audience hear what it says there.
It now says Jesus is God. He painted
it
over
out.
the knot and the whole thing about Jesus.
Was it good artwork though? Did he cover it up with the right colors?
Just slap paint over the
I would
over
say
knot.
What's the name of the town?
So he could work on his art
Fancy
skills.
Gap, Virginia.
Fancy Gap, Virginia.
Fancy Gap, Virginia.
Here's your one chance, Fancy. Don't let me down.
Go ahead. I've talked a lot about MIRVs and ICBMs.
Hey, before we get to the end of the show here, almost not all, almost every story that we talked about, I'm looking here, can be found at afn.net.
Hey, good. That's good.
.net. Yep, absolutely. So, for example, the Arctic air that we talked about.
Arctic air,
the cold front, the
Don't say
bad
ice.
weather. Don't say ice.
Fern. You talking about Fern?
The reshuffling leadership in Minneapolis shooting, Trump visits Iowa, all that.
All our stories that we covered are on our website, afn.net.
Except for a couple of Steves.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, probably not.
Fancy Gap, Virginia, going to be on AFN?
When you have stories like what's going on in Minnesota and a big, huge ice storm, it kind of sucks all the oxygen out of the air.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot left to talk about. That's not.
Yeah.
Folks, if you're interested in my foreign policy podcast, that is available at. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow. We
Lord willing.
Hope you have a great day. We'll see you back here then. Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of